This is our review of the new Hyundai Santa Fe. Let's go! Here in the front of the new Hyundai Santa Fe, we can see a bigger, more modern front grille. Also leads over to those headlamps. They optionally come with LED, also with a nice LED daytime running light. So this is a very friendly face, but more modern than before. The color we show you here is magma red. The length is at 4,77 meters, 188 inches or 15'6". And what I've done is putting the smaller Hyundai Santa Fe model a little bit bigger, so they don't need two separate models anymore. And then the bigger one will be the Hyundai Palisade for the very, very large SUV model. Well, chrome frames around the window. They raised a little bit in the rear to make it a little bit more agile, but they made the rear window line a little bit bigger overall, so you have more light on the interior here, however, with the dark feature. Design-wise, this is probably the biggest change if you compare it to the predecessor generation, because the rear definitely looks more modern with those horizontally drawn tail lamps. So the rear of the predecessor looked a little bit more bulky. That one here a little bit more elegance and sportiness, so to say, if we talk about that in this segment. H-Track, by the way, this badge is their all-wheel drive brand. It's front-wheel drive plus all-wheel drive on demand. Cool, they have hydraulic struts for this engine bay. So, a lot of room here still, we can see. This is a 2.4 liter naturally aspirated petrol engine, 185 horsepower, 6-speed automatic gearbox, 10.4 seconds acceleration to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. Test consumption here, I can already tell you, is about 8.5 liters and 100 kilometers for today. So 28 mpg or 33 mpg UK for this one here. And then also available there is a 2-liter diesel, 150 horsepower, and a 2.2-liter diesel with 200 horsepower. The small diesel just front-wheel drive, the bigger diesel front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Here our petrol for today, always all-wheel drive. Well organized in this interior, and the build quality is a little bit better than before. Those ones on the optional animal skin seats, however, I could not get exact information, but a lot of parts are leather red and others are animal origin. That's my research so far, but I could not go into very specifics there. It's hard to get the information on that. The base seats are fabric, however, and recommend those also for practical reasons, because they don't get that hot in summer, especially. Those ones here, they do. Then you need the seat cooling. With fabric seats, not necessarily. So this is the first look at the interior. Let's test it. So let's hop inside. The inside here stays quite clean because the lower door sill with this rubber is very low on the outside of the door. So that's a good idea. Seating position is upright and comfortable, as you would expect it from a SUV. I'm 1,86 meters or 6'1", and that leaves quite some headroom right there. That's cool. Also with a very beautiful gray fabric ceiling. This is one of my favorite parts of the interior right here. The steering wheel can be adjusted in height and reach. It's a very nice and smooth function like that. Here the interior overview with the upgraded material quality. Here, for example, soft touch on the dashboard, and look how smooth the materials are here. This is beautifully done, this whole area right there, with some cubby hole there as well. Let me turn on the instruments and stuff. So yeah, a lot of beeping sounds here, always with those Hyundais and Kias. Then a metal knurling around the knob right here for the climate control. That's good quality and I really like that. So no more cheap rubber stuff or something. easy to access, for example, the steering wheel heating or also the seat heating. I like that. This is just, simple and straightforward. Seat cooling here, but you cannot use seat cooling and seat heating at the very same time. There's a new 8-inch screen available here, also with the GPS function. However, it's not possible with the zoom and pinch here easily. I'm not sure why they haven't done that yet. So it's really strange if you want to browse inside this map. Other than that, what's important, if you go here for the main menu, you can access the Apple CarPlay. This helps pretty much. Also Android Auto connection is available. Then the steering wheel, cruise control on the right side, left side, for example, for the volume or for picking up the phone. There are new digital instruments in the middle, some analog parts, and left out the right. And very important to me is the head-up display. I can very, very well see that. Crystal clear layout is also one great option they added right here, and I would definitely go for it. In the lower part then, you connect your phone via USB for the smartphone connection. Also 12-volt power supply available, but also another USB supply if you like. And this lower area is also an inductive charging area, so that would also be possible. But when you connect for the Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, you will use the cable anyway. And then, even when I'm sitting in the front as tall driver, still a lot of knee room left and a lot of headroom. Electric hatch, let's open it right here. And very interesting, the length here is almost 1.10 meters. There are also buttons here to let them flip from here. Pretty cool and easy system. I really like this option. So as for the steering feel, you get a little bit better control of the vehicle. So overall, is it better to drive than the predecessor generation? Yes, it is. But I would have expected a little bit more difference. Sometimes when we have those generation changes, there is a little bit. No, that's Tucson. I thought it was the previous generation, but that was a Hyundai Tucson. The Tucson is, by the way, definitely better to drive. You somehow feel as the platform would be more suitable to that. And of course, it's a shorter car, so if you want a more agile drive, but still don't want to have so much luggage capacity, or you just don't need it, then the Tucson will also be a good alternative. Now again, here the blind spot monitor. Here, when I set the turning indicator at the same time, I also get an acoustic warning. What about this cruise control? This vehicle here is full spec, so it also has the adaptive cruise control, so the distance to the car in front of me is being kept. And that's also so far well done. I will now also show you an acceleration. Well, we can use the manual shifting here with the shifting lever. We can also change drive mode, for example to sport. That will turn up the RPMs a little bit more. And then we can check more about this acceleration, which is 10.4 seconds to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And let's see here now, like this motor was 70 kilometers to 100. Let's go. That was it. So you see, although it's a naturally aspirated engine, we have some displacement left there, so you can also get some decent acceleration still on the motorway, but not as explosive as there would be a turbo. However, I do like the driving experience with naturally aspirated engines, direct injection by the way here, because it's a little bit more harmonious. So those turbos set in at some point, but here it's actually quite nice to experience, and it's rather smooth. However, if you hammer the throttle, you heard it, it needs a lot of RPMs to get this thing going overall. But I think it's still good that they offer a naturally aspirated petrol engine for a change. Hardly anyone else does offer that anymore. So now on the motorway, here, by the way, we have a little smoother tarmac, so it's a little bit more silent than it was before. You see, this also makes a big difference. Still not quite convinced of the noise insulation. I think it's a little bit too loud in here for a 219 car. But overall, the comfort and so the feeling the car gives me here on the motorway, that's quite okay. So can't complain too much about that as long as we don't start a too agile driving, which we will soon do in a roundabout and see how that one plays out. It's always good to compare cars there too. By the way, not doing anything with the brakes or foot at the moment, so now the car is picking up the speed again after the other car left the lane, which is a Jaguar XF. We'll follow that truck just for a second and then get off the motorway. So, here we go. That should be a Kia Niro in front of us right there, the blue one. Always, you know, when you're testing cars, you always check, oh, there's this new car, you've been driven this one like last year, or this one like 2 months ago. It's always fun then to watch the cars on the road. So now we're getting in this roundabout and take a look at the steering angle and also how the suspension performs. Yeah, I'll get in there. Yeah. Luggage flying all over the place as usual. So then get out here again and see I don't have to steer too much. That was actually quite okay, but still also how the feeling on the interior is. This car does feel somewhat bulky. So sometimes we have vehicles, they feel smaller than they are, sometimes they feel a little bit bigger than they are. In this case, it feels a little bit bigger than it is. Yeah, that's just what I feel. So I think it does not really speak for the driving characteristics of this vehicle. Again, it's not bad at all. We just have to rate it to other experience we had so far. And now to our conclusion for today with the Hyundai Santa Fe. I think it just makes sense to have just one model. Also makes it a little bit easier. Yes, you can still get the old outdated model as for this one in US, for example, but it's all about the new model here for sure. On the exterior in the front you see a modern new friendly face aligned with the Hyundai Kona with a smaller model that looks modern and fresh. Other than that, the design is rather a little bit conservative, but that's also quite okay. On the interior, the biggest strength of this vehicle is that we have a lot of room on the inside. You have a lot of space for all of the passengers. Also flexible with the 7-seater option if you want to go for this one. And they upgrade it into the, you know, as for the quality of the materials and also more infotainment features. That's also quite nice to have. Driving wise, I would have expected a little bit more. The steering feeling is a little bit better, but I think noise insulation and also suspension should have been upgraded more if you compare it to the predecessor generation. So driving is not exactly the strength of this vehicle, does not feel agile. It's not super comfortable as for suspension. Seating is still good as for the upright seating position and the room you have, of course. That's really the strength of this vehicle. And of course the price, which is quite decent. If you think about it, you know, in Europe between 35 and 50,000 euros or something, yeah, it can get some, you know, quite expensive than in the top trims. Therefore, go for a low spec model. But in US, $25,000 to $35,000. Yeah, I mean plus VAT, but still, that's even more interesting as for the price. So our friends in US will have a very good deal if you compare it to the European prices. What do you think? Leave me your comments about this vehicle and please tune in next time to Autogefuhl.